Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. It's me again, Jen. Hello! And we are talking about the Sakki Sakki tarot deck and how they compare to the Rider-Waite tarot deck, which is the kind of more traditional tarot that I feel like anybody who's ever played with tarot cards or seen them in movies has probably seen them. So today we are talking about the World card. And obviously this is the Sakki Sakki one. I love this card. I have talked about it in other videos, so if you're interested, go check those out. And this is the Rider-Waite version, which we're going to talk about first. So to pick this one apart, we've got obviously the World written down at the bottom. It is one of the major arcana. It is the 22nd card in the major arcana, even though it says 21. So why is that? Because Fool is the 0. So it is both the beginning and the ending of the major arcana story because it is the Fool's journey. So there are 22 cards and the World is the completion of those. And that's because that is the representation of this card. It is completion. It is continuity. It is the ending and the beginning in some senses too, because as we finish things, we know the end of one story is really the beginning of another. The representations in the four corners of this are usually going to be an eagle, a lion, a bull, and an angelic being or a human. It's kind of hard to tell. Sometimes it has wings, sometimes it doesn't. In this deck, it just is the face and kind of this angelic yellow hair kind of thing. The other person that is on here is the world representation in the center. So the four corners represent the four elements, the four suits, the four energies of the tarot, because again, this is bringing everything together. It is culminating all of those energies. So the eagle up in the corner is going to represent air and intellect and all of those kinds of things. It also represents community and family sometimes. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this card. The lion represents fire and passions and all of those kinds of energies. The bull is going to represent the pentacles and wealth and the earth. And the angelic being represents that kind of more mystical, divine energy, tapping into our emotions, tapping into kind of that flow from universe sort of thing. The other thing that usually is on the world card is a wreath of some kind, and wreaths and laurels and all of those represented in the tarot are victory. They are, again, back to that completion. And this, again, is a circle. It is that infinity of everything that you do comes back around. And, the beginning is also the ending and the alpha and omega, all of those kinds of things. Usually the character represented in the center is nude or at least partially nude. Nudity doesn't just represent like sexuality, it represents being open to messages of the universe, being open to the universe, just being kind of exposed and vulnerable, as much as it represents kind of nudity and sexuality and awakening and all of those kinds of things. In the case of the world, it's that openness that brings you to like the knowledge that you should have gained through the fool's journey of the major arcana. Everything should kind of make sense now, that kind of thing. You've heard the story, you've experienced all the adventures, now you're kind of processing all of it. And by processing it, it's very meditative and it's also getting that deeper connection to universe. The wands, they usually have at least one, sometimes two wands also. And again, that's mastery, that's control of something. So the other card that usually has the wand very obviously represented is the magician. And again, it's controlling and commanding those energies that you have learned to work with. So what about the Sakki Sakki version? This one's a little more on the nose about the world. We have the earth in the background. There are ships represented in the oceans. There's a sun that kind of wraps around the 21 represented up there. We have stars in the sky. Our world character is sort of like snaking around. She's very fluid, very abstract. At least she has a head. We'll give it that. I actually really love the expression on the face of this character. I mean, I know it's abstract and kind of like Picasso-esque, But still, you kind of get this idea of like, I know everything that's going on. I am well connected, all of that kind of thing. Wink, wink. Let me give you some hints. She also doesn't look like she's necessarily carrying the weight of the world, more that she's sort of dancing and spinning the world with her. She is the universal energy. She is that spirit. So I like this in the sense that it's not sort of an atlas, sort of the world is on your shoulders feeling. It's more, I have command over this. I control my world. I control what happens to me. I like that it's a globe. We have our circle represented by that way. I also kind of like that the ships are on here because ships and boats and things represent movement and transition and transformation. And I do think that like that that energy is represented in the world card as well, of like I'm going to transform the knowledge that I have and I'm going to turn it into something tangible. I like all of that aspect to this. What I am missing is there's no laurel, there's no victory. The four elements are not really represented. I mean, I guess you could argue that the sun is fire and there are clouds over here that could represent air, and maybe the ships represent water, and then there is earth represented by the earth. So, argument could be made that this is, all four elements are represented in some way, but it's not clear enough to me. To me, if you are looking for this to have all of those elements in it, you're not going to get that. But if you want to look at it as like it is the world, you have it in your hands, you can do what you want with it, that is represented on here with the imagery. So I do like that part. I also like that there's sort of another circle being represented down here with the arc of the landscape that's behind her and kind of the roads that are traveling out and away. It's not a mountain per se. It's just sort of everything is smooth sailing from here. It's just you can see everything out on the horizon and it's beautiful, and who knows where you'll go from here. I like the energy of this card. I actually really love the artwork on this card. I think it's a lot of fun. This is a card that I absolutely would like take a picture of and put as a background image just to remind me like everything's going to come together. Everything's going to be fine. So when you look at this card, think about that. Everything is kind of coming together. Everything's going to be fine. It'll all work out in the end. And in that, I hope that in the end you stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!